Okay. Hey, everybody. So when I get these revelations, it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. So I'm going to take it back to rewind back to 2017, and I'm going to go back to itemizing out the 11 different systems. Okay. So in my book right now, that's out right now, I do talk about the 11 different systems. Okay. So these are 11 different systems: the circulatory system, the urinary tract system, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the male-female reproductive system, the nervous system, the skeletal system, the respiratory system, the integumentary system, the lymphatic system, and the muscular system. Okay? Every single system has organs in them. Okay? And I'm actually thinking of like Shintoism, where everything has a spirit. So your circulatory system has a spirit, but there's spirits in the circulatory system. There's spirits for every organ that has to do with the circulatory system. There's spirits for every organ and every cell and every tissue that's in the urinary tract system. There's spirits, because what is the spirit? It's biochemistry, it's chemicals. Okay? Biochemistry, spirits, God, life, Allah, Jesus, I don't know, Muhammad or Buddha. Those are all biochemistry. It's life. It's like all of your systems put together, and that represents life. So then every single component that makes up life has its own spirit. So when you think about it, viruses are spirits, because we talk about viruses and the lack of RNA and DNA, then has a ghost, a disembodied spirit. So what is that energy left? That's the biochemistry that made up that human. That's all the data. That's all the data that human was able to incorporate and accumulate throughout their whole life. Okay? And so viruses is just data. But viruses will have an interaction with you based upon the state of your body, the state of your system, and the state of your organs. Okay? So when you look at disease can encapsulate many different systems together. They can also encapsulate specific organs. So how does disease, what is a disease? It is weaknesses in those areas. Well, what has them make them weak? Well, obviously it's imbalances. But what triggers the weakness? Well, viruses are either upgrading you or degrading you or downgrading you. Okay? So when everyone's exposed to viruses, I mean, you think about the pancreatic viruses or the pancreatic cancer, because cancer is made up of viruses which exploit the weaknesses in your body. So if cancer is viruses and weaknesses are viruses, then disease is viruses that exploit the weak parts of your body, but what will make them strong? Okay, it's when you have a strength in your body, like you don't have weaknesses. And so when a virus hits that specific, like that virus, that specific virus that would then target to upgrade or downgrade that specific organ, it's based upon if that body or that system or that organ is weak or strong. See, this gets really complicated because you're now breaking everything down to its most elementary component. So you have, hold on. I'm trying to bring a lot of information together, okay? Hey, everybody. So this is the body. So it's a bunch of cells, and there's 11 different systems in the body. So this is the body, and this is the world, this is the body. And then you have all the systems that make up this body, okay? So now all the systems, now I got to then break it down to organs, but I'm not going to do that right now because that takes a lot of time. But you see that these systems make up this body, and then you break it down. If you want to do it down in layers, you break it down to the organs, and you break it down to the hormones and all the different acids and to the, I mean, there's ways, I'm sure I could probably draw it out at some point. Okay, but every single system has a virus, a spirit to it. Okay, and so all these new diseases. So I was, me and Kathy were kind of conversing earlier today, or chatting back and forth about the Ebola virus and the AIDS virus. So all these new viruses are like upgrades to strong bodies and systems and organs, or they're downgrades to weak bodies, systems, and organs. Okay? And so this Ebola virus is only going to be a disease to those that are compromised already in their circulatory system and in their immune system. So if you actually look up the disease of every single disease that's out there, if you look it up, you will find that what it's actually triggering, okay? And then you will figure out where those weaknesses lay within. And then you'll figure out if that's going to be the upgrade to a person who has a strength, who's strong, or is it going to be a downgrade? Is it going to compromise them? Okay? And so Caitlin Morag, you are not going to get the benefit of this information. See you later. Bye. All right. So yeah. So this is something that you guys have to realize, that every single disease out there is based upon a weak body. Every single disease is. It's not a disease on a strong body, because when a person doesn't have a disease, like I've been exposed to all these different viruses in my life, and the only thing that I've seen adverse was the PMDD. Now I haven't seen where PMDD came from, because I haven't done too much research on that. But if somebody gets like breast cancer, or somebody gets all these different cancers, they've been exposed to viruses and they have weak systems. So whatever virus, whatever cancer, or whatever issue they have, it's based on a weak body, and then the virus they were exposed to, just that was supposed to actually upgrade them, well, they had a compromised organ in their body, and it then degraded them. It turned into a disease. And then they have a combination of weaknesses in their body. So then you have combinations. So then you have autoimmune disorders. Then you have, oh gosh, I don't know, like pancreatic cancer. You have so many different cancers, so many different diseases all conglomerate into one. I mean, autoimmune disorders like fibromyalgia and lupus is a combination of so many things. PMDD is a combination of so many different diseases and things. So it's like, but that's the thing. There's spirits attached to every single one. Virus is attached, and so that's why it is some people will come down with the disease and why others don't. So how would you know, especially with the Ebola virus, if you would actually be susceptible to the Ebola virus? Well, if you are predisposed to, if you have a weak circulatory system already, if you're taking medication for blood issues, you have either, your blood's too thick or your blood's too thin, you have weak capillaries, you have a weak heart, you have immune system issues, then you most likely would have an issue with coming in contact with that virus, that upgrade to the universe, okay? No different than like the AIDS virus or any of these viruses that do, well, see, like with the pancreatic cancer is a combination of viruses. So if you've been exposed to like the Hep A and the Hep C and the HPV, and you have weaknesses in your pancreas, then yeah, pancreatic cancer is not going to be too far away. Oh, hold on, my dog's barking. Hold on, sugar. What? What's that? What? Where are you? Sugar. What's the matter? What do you think? What? 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 What's the matter? What? It's okay. No, it's okay, sugar. It's okay. Come on down. Come on. I don't know. She was upstairs barking at something. Probably a ghost. So yeah, so the whole thing with the ghosts and the whole thing with spirits, sugar, it's okay, sugar. Those are all viruses. Those are all data from the different dead people. So the thing with the Zach Bagans and him coming down with a real big, with a sickness after he went to that house, that haunted house from The Conjuring. Well, him and his crew are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and they're exposing themselves to these malevolent spirits, or basically disease. Okay, and they have a weak body, and so they are now having a harder time getting over their exposure to these malevolent, intense spirits, because it's all like electricity. Remember, your body is electric. The salt and the minerals and the nutrients and the acids and the micro and macronutrition in the water are all conductors to then bring life to your body. If you don't put salt in your body or electrolytes in your body and water and nutrients and acids, guess what? You atrophy. You basically die. You need electrolytes to then electrify all of your cells to then do what it needs to do. So when you go into these highly charged haunted houses where there's a major incident that happened to where then this residual negative energy is left and it doesn't leave for whatever reason, and then these people are going to go ghost hunting, they're going to absorb that energy, and if they have weaknesses already in their body, guess what? They're going to come down with some kind of disease. So I've been studying all of these different people who can speak to spirits or who can see spirits. And I know that there is a kindred spirit, similar biochemistry. Why like attracts like, okay? And so now we're breaking everything down to the body. Every single part of your body has a spirit attached, has a virus attached to it. And there's new viruses that target specific parts of your systems to either upgrade it on a strong body or a strong organ or a strong system, or downgrade it if it's already compromised. And that's Mother Nature getting rid of those that are imbalanced, okay? Because if it was left up to Mother Nature, none of you guys would be around, because you wouldn't have, Mother Nature made the doctors. But if you didn't have modern medicine or vaccines, none of you would be around. Mother Nature would be like, yay or nay. There would have been no gray area for any of us. You either are strong enough to adapt to the environment, or Mother Nature cuts you off right there, okay? So we're breaking everything down from a body to a system, which is this, to then an organ, and then from an organ then to a cell. And then every single cell has a spirit attached to it too. And so all these different bacteria and viruses and organisms will either be working symbiotically with you or working against you based upon the state of your body overall, of your systems overall, and of your organs overall, and of your cells. So when you really think about it, we're breaking this shit down. Okay, so you have the body as a whole, then you have the systems, then you have the organs, then you have the cells, and there's spirits / viruses attached to every single one of them. And then there's new bacteria that have upgrades to the body as a whole, as well as to the different systems, so then the organs and to the cells. So this breaks everything down, okay? And there's spirits and viruses that represent every single part of your body, every single system in your body, every single organ in your body, and every single cell in your body, okay? And so, now this brings into religion, but religion is just science under a different name. That's all religion is. God and Allah and Yahweh and Moses and Jesus and Buddha and Catholic and Pope and all these names for all these spiritual people is basically representing one aspect of life and one aspect of death. And based upon your belief system, you'll end up on either end of the spectrum. Right now, our system is such where people are ending up dead. But now we're reintroducing another way of looking at life where you don't have to die, okay? That you do have some semblance of control over your life to where you don't have to die. But you have to understand what makes up your body, how to live symbiotically with the universe, okay? And how to understand what your body is telling you, what bacteria is, what mucus is, what acids are, what prohormones are, what minerals are, okay? And realize that mucus is the one, it's the barometer that lets you know where you're overabundant in, and you let the mucus flow and get it out. So if you have so much mucus and you're like having all these symptoms, your body is weak and it's trying to release, and then how you deal with that mucus will be the difference of whether or not you prolong your life or whether you shorten your life. Some people are taking mucus and NyQuil and all these, mucus drying up agents. They're going to shorten their life because that mucus and those excess elements and bacteria are going to stay stuck in the body, causing more imbalances, causing weaknesses. And then you're exposed to viruses or either upgrade you or downgrade you. Well, you have a weak body, you have a weak system, you have a weak organ, okay? You have weak cells, and then that's when the death process, the death trajectory starts. I mean, it's already starting as soon as the body sees how in which you relate to it and to your environment. If you're already out the gate, out of the womb, plying the body with the wrong chemistry, the body knows it's on a death trajectory. It's just a matter of time. And then every single inherited predisposition is then another nail in the coffin, closer to death. Okay? So what triggered this was because of the whole thing with the Ebola virus. No different than the AIDS virus back in the 80s. I remember when the AIDS virus was it was all over the news. My mother was teaching us, you got to wear a condom, you got to put the foam in you and use nonoxynol 9 to kill the sperm and kill the AIDS virus and all that stuff. And we were raised with that because the AIDS virus is all over. And then, in my 20s, you're like, watch out, don't have sex because you might get AIDS and all this other stuff. And I had sex, and I didn't worry about it. It wasn't anything that I worried about. And I'm like, if I do have it, I don't even want to know. So I would never get tested, but I was fine. I'm like, I'll wait until I get symptoms. Never did. So I'm like, okay. But I'm sure that it's in San Francisco, and I was hanging out in San Francisco all the time, and I've been exposed to everything. Okay, we all have, if we ever had sex with even one or two people, because you have no idea their history, and it's very rare you find someone that basically only has one or two partners. Okay, so it's like, so I know I've been exposed to almost everything out there, but yet I never came down with the AIDS virus. Or HIV positive. Never had any of those major diseases or any kind of cancer except for PMDD, which I've yet to figure out what the heck that disease is. Okay. So it makes you wonder, why is it that I didn't come down with the AIDS virus, but others did? Well, it's a specific genetic predisposition. And so once you realize that, now we're seeing more prevalence in the genetic predisposition to then translate into a disease, that everyone's going to be now scared, which they should be, because kids are being, they're being made on bodies that have never resolved the generational issues and the negative mutations. And so now they are, now they have a lot more weaknesses in their body, which means that they're going to be more susceptible and predisposed to a lot more diseases. You can't catch disease, okay? Diseases are based upon the weaknesses in your 11 different systems, in your organs, in your cells. Viruses are everywhere. You can't get away from them. There's no way you can live in a bubble. You can wash your hands 1,000,000 times a day, but you never can get away from viruses. Disease is not catching. Disease is based upon the state of the person's body and their knowledge on how to deal with their body. Okay? But ignorance is catching. That's what's catching. The angry faces is what's catching. So when I see an angry face, it's like a weakness that I'm going to cut off at the nose and to stop it from spreading. It's like a cancer. Angry face and sad faces are like cancer. Okay? So, but that's based upon a weak body. I'm not weak. So I can handle a few of those, and I can handle even a bunch of those. But it just shows the state of that person's body, what kind of emotions are putting out there. And then John says, I was made to have a Hep C jab while in prison, never had any side effects. Well, there you go. that tells you that you don't have a weak body where that hep C, and I don't even know what systems hep C targets or what organs hep C targets. I'm sure I can Google it. But yeah, if you really look at, and this is, we should really look, let's just do a little research. As far as hep C, what systems does hep C target? The liver. The liver. In vivo, HCV infects only humans and chimpanzees. Okay, it's the liver. Wow. Let me just look at this real quick. Hepatitis C virus. Yeah, everybody's exposed to these viruses. You get them in the food supply. If they happen to catch it, they'll do a whole recall on the vegetables or the fruit. But yeah, it seems, I think that's the liver. Yeah, they say it's the liver. The liver is a primary target. Okay, so the virus is a spirit of, so the hep C is the spirit of the liver. That's how you have to look at what hep C is, John. So John, you have a very strong liver because you got exposed to the hep C virus. It targets the liver. You have no symptoms. You actually upgraded your body. That vaccine upgraded your liver. On a weak liver, it would have downgraded and it would have made them have cancer because that's Mother Nature's balancing force. Mother Nature creates cancer and creates disease on bodies that are weak. That's a no duh, but that's kind of like, duh. Why do you have two people get jabbed with the same vaccine? One has adverse, the other one doesn't. Because one has a strong liver or a strong system, organs, and body, and the other person doesn't. Okay? And so that makes sense. So then you look at all the different viruses and what they target. That's the spirit. That will either upgrade you or downgrade you. But it's the spirit. It's like these viruses, we're all, like, we're basically, we're the universe. We're the universe just manifesting by chemistry. All we're made up of is fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. That's all that's just what the body's made up of. And the viruses is what then upgrades you or downgrades you. The viruses will either strengthen you or it will destroy you. But damn, John, you look strong. Okay? I'm not surprised that you were able to handle that hep C shot. That's awesome. Now I want to get all my vaccines because I have a very strong body. It would be an upgrade. I should go and get upgraded. But I hate needles, so I'd rather get exposed to an environment. Okay? And go through the episode of homeostasis on my own. But I will. But if I ever have mandatory vaccines, I'll be happy to take them. And that's a great, great example. Thanks, John, for that example. That was a good one. But you think of all the different viruses, okay, and what systems and organs they target, and that's the spirit of those specific systems and organs. And that spirit could either be your friend or your foe. Okay, and that's a totally different way of looking at cancer. It's a totally different way of looking at disease. It's a totally different way of looking at vaccines. Okay? And so those that are still anti-vax really don't get it. And they probably will never get it because they're probably not doing the J-juice at the level that they should. Because they're still stuck to thinking that there's enemies out there. There are no enemies, just people with different biochemistries. There's different elements, and you have a specific chemistry, biochemistry. that based upon your perception, it's either balanced or imbalanced. And some people need to upgrade their perception, but it's not for me to say. I can't impose my perception of life and death onto somebody else. Okay? So it's like there are no enemies, just different biochemistries, different chemistries. But we have to break it down. Like we broke down what is in our universe and what's in everything, which is the elements. Remember this, the periodic tables? This is from a couple months back. I was showing this. This is basically what makes up a pen, what makes up my pin to stick this on the wall. This also makes up the different detoxes and pills, powder supplements, and vaccines, and air, and in your food supply. Okay? So everything can be broken down to an elemental composition. And then everything can get broken down to then a human composition, which is humans are made up of fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And then what is aging? Aging is the second law of thermodynamics. If all energy, in all energy exchanges, if no energy enters or it leaves the system, the potential energy of the state will always be less than of the initial state, also known as entropy. Okay? So energy cannot be created, it can only manifest. Energy is just there. It can't be created, it can just manifest based upon the chemicals that are coming in contact with each other, and there has to be a specific laws that you have to go by. There's laws of life and laws of death. You abide by the laws of life, then you will continue to live. You violate the laws of life, death is a consequence. Okay? And then you have to break it down to a strong body, weak body, to then a strong organ system or a weak organ system. And then you have the spirits and the viruses that make up the body, the systems, the organs, and the cells, or the body, mind, and spirit. Okay? But these spirits and viruses, they look after all of your 11 different systems, and they look after all of your organs and all of your cells. And the reason why they either will destroy you or strengthen you is based upon your weaknesses or strengths. So if you're predisposed, so you can see your predisposition by looking at your family, your mom and your dad. If there's breast cancer in your family, if there's testicular cancer in your family, if there is lung cancer in your family. That's why they go through family medical history to see what you're predisposed to, and they know that you're exposed to viruses, so they know that's somewhere in your future. Now with the J juice, you have now the choice to strengthen and fix that weakness, so then you don't end up like your mom and your dad and your sister and your brother and everybody in your family that has passed away or dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness. You now have this choice because you're always going to be exposed to viruses. And then when there's a new virus on the scene that the CDC, if you go to the CDC, they'll tell you the new viruses that are out there. And they'll tell you what systems and organs they target. Come here, sugar. And then you'll know if it's going to be an upgrade to you or a downgrade to you. So if you already know your family medical history and you already have weaknesses in your circulatory system, weaknesses in your immune system, and now there's this Ebola virus, you better get on the ball, either get the vaccine or you do the J juice and strengthen everything, not just your circulatory system and your immune system, but everything. Because when you do a vaccine, it just targets that specific system or organ, no different than a prescription drug. Okay, so that's one way to combat some kind of death from a disease, that you don't have to die from a preventable disease. But then you do the J juice and everything is connected. Not only will you strengthen the circulatory system and your immune system against the Ebola virus, but then every other weakness that you have in your body. So not only will those systems be then upgraded, so will everything else in your body that's also been compromised at some point from trauma. Because no different when you take a vaccine or when you get exposed to a virus and you have weaknesses, it's a chain reaction based upon the weaknesses of your body. So when you get exposed to a virus, regardless of where it came from, and you already have weaknesses, That's what they call diseases. That's where these diseases come from. It's because you already have weaknesses from predisposition, from past history, from your parents, and from already traumas in your childhood or traumas throughout your life. Get into a car accident, that's a weakness. Okay, and cancer could potentially set in right there where you had that injury in a car accident. Okay? Cancer is basically viruses that either upgrade you or downgrade you based upon if you have strengthened or weakened your body throughout your whole life. And a lot of you have allowed your body to degrade. And so, yeah, you are predisposed to all the different diseases because you cannot get away from viruses. They're always going to be there. You can't get away from spirits. Spirits are everywhere. Why some spirits come out more than others is because they have more of a strength based upon what hormone was present at the time of their death. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm so interested in the ghost shows, because I know there was something scientific behind Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures. I knew there's something scientific behind all that. I just couldn't figure out what it was. And it finally took us up to this point to actually substantiate it through science. All ghosts are just basically you guys missing the RNA and the DNA. And all you're left is the spirit, which is the biochemistry, the hormones that are most present at the time. Okay? And the reason why they focus on the killers is because the killers have the most aggressive hormones that leave a major electrifying print in the area that they've committed those crimes in. And of course, people love the fear and they love hear. And I was watching, I would say about a half hour or 15 minutes of the Ghost Adventures last night on Halloween night. And I had to change the channel and change it to Everybody Loves Raymond because it was so intense. It was so dark and so scary. And I can usually watch Ghost Adventures by myself and no big deal. My husband's on the road, no big deal. But last night I could not. It was actually darker. That show last night was darker. It's a 2-hour special too. It was darker than all the other shows. And they were based it on The Conjuring, the house that The Conjuring was the movie that was, taken after. Okay? And so there's some ancient stuff going on in that house of The Conjuring. And so I had to actually change the channel. And I rarely really change the channel because I'm pretty, I could watch ghost shows on my own. Now that I'm stronger, I know where they're coming from. But that right there, I could not watch. I could not watch. And I'm hoping that I'll do a replay and my husband will be around, then I can watch it with him, because then two good energies, with his good energy and my good energy, we can absorb that negative energy. But I'm telling you, watching that, and I'm seeing things in the corner of my eye, and my dog's like, she's sleeping, and it's windy last night. It was windy last night. It was raining. It was just like, it was not the mood to be watching something as intense as that show last night. So, but yeah, anyways, and so the reason why he's falling ill is because he doesn't know when to walk away, and they make too much money to walk away from doing these types of spiritual walks through these haunted houses. But the devil does take his due, and they're taking it from him. But it's still it's fear porn. That's all these ghost shows are, is fear porn. But I also want to understand on a scientific level, what the heck? Because I know there's something to it. Because I played the Ouija board when I was a kid. When I was 17, I played the Ouija board, and I felt the force. Okay, so I know there's something to it because I've experienced it. Now, I haven't seen any ghosts. I've had weird dreams, but I have not seen any ghosts like right here. But I've seen electricity, they'll orbs through my computer every so often. It only happened recently. Okay, but and my dog barks occasionally on stuff, I don't know what. But I had to really figure out the whole thing with the spirit and understanding our universe and the bodies, and why we have cancer, why we have criminal behavior, and why we have people who are angry, people who are sad, people who are criminals. It's really understanding everything, and why we have all the different isms, the racism, and everything, sexism, and all that. Okay, but once you break it down, that every single cell and every single organ, every single system in the body has a spirit. It's like Shintoism. What is Shintoism? Because that's like a Japanese belief system. I remember studying that when I was in I don't know, college or 4th grade. Hold on, let me see. All right. Shintoism. Shintoism is a polytheistic belief system involving the veneration of many deities known as kami. The Japanese language makes no distinction between singular and plural, and hence the term kami refers both to individual kami and the collective group of kami. So it's polytheistic. I mean, there's many gods. And I would say that, you know what, the polytheistical type of religion makes sense because every single cell and every single organ and every single system and every body has so many different spirits, so many different viruses, spirits. When you have a monotheistic religion, it doesn't take into account all the components that make up, you know, the monotheism. The polytheism is like all the things that make up the monotheism. It's just a different way of looking at it. Polytheism breaks everything down. Monotheism just kind of makes it into one. And it's easier to say, okay, God, life, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and have one specific body that represents everything versus breaking it down to its elemental state or its polytheistical state. Okay? So that makes you understand religion, how we don't need to hate anybody for their religion because we're all thinking the same thing. We're all just having a way of explaining life and death, our perception of it, utilizing different words. Okay? And so that's all viruses are. It's either going to upgrade you or downgrade you based upon the weaknesses in your cells, organs, systems, and body. From polytheism to monotheism. And all points in between. And so, you know, it has me totally just interested in watching TV, because now I can look at TV and look at people and look at religion and look at different cultures in a very different way. So I don't need to not watch TV. I'm not one of those where like, oh, I can't watch TV. Oh, I can't do this. No, I can now take part in everything and look at it from a very different point of view. You know, brainwashing only happens on bodies that are weak, that can't really think for themselves. So, you know, anyone that's on a J juice, you're not brainwashed because now you're able to think from a different perspective. It's not an automatic, well, I believe this because somebody told me. Now you really can break it down to its elemental state, from polytheism to monotheism. And you can substantiate it. It's not because somebody told you or you just believe it because you believe it. No, you can substantiate it through science. That's why I come from a very scientific point of view, because it really is the only way to look at things. Okay? But some people say, oh, science is like a religion, you know. And science can be manipulated and skewed based upon someone's perception of how they want to pose science. But our DNA is deoxynucleic acid. That is the blueprint of the body. RNA is how it gets expressed. And then the body's made up of acids. All right, so RNA and DNA are acid. And what is the body made up of? Amino acids, fatty acids, prohormones. What are prohormones? They are precursors to the building blocks of the body. They are nutrition, the micro and the macronutrition. Then you have the minerals. What are those? Heavy metals. Minerals, heavy metals. Salt. It's not really a heavy metal, but it's a mineral. It's a crystal. Sugar is a crystal. It's a mineral. Okay, easily dissolvable in water. So, so everything can be broken down. Everything can be broken down. It's just a matter of some religions don't want to break it down. So then you're just believing in something that's like, that has so many things that make it up. That people don't realize what makes up a religion is all these different components that are being ignored. Okay, so Jesus and Allah and Buddha and monotheism is based upon the body, And then polytheism is based upon the systems, the organs, and the cells. Everything has a spirit to it. That's pretty profound, okay? Everything, every cell, every object has a spirit to it. Everything does. Now, how it manifests in you is a whole different story, okay? Anyways, I gotta go. My husband will be home soon. But just food for thought. Watch my videos, do the protocol. You got nothing to lose. You're already on a death trajectory. You got nothing to lose, you guys. All right? Do the protocol. Put the time in. You will always have your CB radios. You will always have whatever knowledge you have right now at the moment in time. It'll never go away. Put the time into yourself. Invest in yourself. Because you only got yourself. There's only one life. Or you can start over again and come back, or be a disembodied spirit floating around, wondering which body you're going to inhabit. Hopefully someone's procreating somewhere and you go inhabit that body. But then you start over again. Why do that? Why not have the knowledge of today? All right, bye.